Okay, kids, so this is review, okay, for your test on Unit 1. Now, what I expect you to do with this review, since this is a flipped class, I want you to try each question. Pause the video, try it, and then check your work. Okay, so I'm going to work backwards from the newest content. Okay, so find the center and radius of the circle. So on the regions, they're likely to have you have to complete the square. Okay, actually every regions has had it, so probably more than likely. It's pretty much a guarantee. So you bring all the variable terms to the left, group them together. Okay, the way you do this is you take half of the coefficients of x and y, half of them. Then you take that answer and you're going to put that answer in the parentheses, number one, the half. But then what you're going to do to the right side of the problem is you're going to add the squares of those halves. 9, 4. Whoops. All right. So the center, okay, it comes from this formula, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. Now, the h is 3. What is k? So what are you subtracting from y when you are adding 2? Okay, so what are you subtracting from y? Okay, so when you're adding 2, you're subtracting -2 from y, right? So that means that k is -2. And then r is the square root of 23. So the center is 3, -2, and then the radius is the square root of 23. Okay, so that's a typical question. Now, let's say they gave you a problem that seems simpler, but some kids will have more trouble with it. X squared plus y squared minus 8y equals 16. So here, you only have to take half of -8 and square it. So you get x squared plus y minus 4. The half goes in the parentheses with the y, equals, now add the square of -4 to the right, so you get 32. So you have x squared plus the square of y minus 4 is 32. So here the center is 0, 4. Okay, but the radius is the square root of 32. And remember how I taught you to simplify this on the calculator. Go to y1, 32 divided by x squared. Then do second graph to access your table. When you go down the table, you're going to see a 4 in the left-hand column and a 2 in the right-hand column. That's your answer, 4 rad 2. Remember, you're looking for integer values that are paired, and you're looking for the largest integer that is paired with another integer. Left goes out, right goes in. All right, now say that I gave you the center and radius. So let's say I said the center is 3, -4, and I said r, okay, is 8, and you had to give the equation. Give the equation of the circle. So in that case, you would just get x minus 3, because you have to use your formula for the circle, y minus -4 equals 64. Okay. Now they can be tricky. They can say, get the equation of the circle with center -2, 1, that passes through okay, 1, 5. So in order to do this, you have to get more information. You have to get the radius first. So you would do the radius. You would use the distance formula. -2 minus 1 squared plus 1 minus 5 squared. So this is going to be the square root. -3 squared is 9. -4 squared is 16. Square root of 25, which is 5. And this is your center. So then you'd have x minus -2 squared plus y minus 1 squared equals 5 squared, or 25. All right, so be prepared to have to do that. So that's the equation of the circle. Okay, what did we learn right before the equation of the circle? What was in the previous lesson? Remember, we learned how to get perimeter and area of polygons? Okay, so let's do that next. Get the perimeter and area of quadrilateral ABCD, whose coordinates are A, -3, -5, B, -1, 4, C, 2, 5, and D, 1, -3. All right, so first you have to do the distance formula. 4 times you have to find the length of AB, BC, CD, and AD. Okay, so I'm going to do this the mental math way. You can write out the whole thing if you want. So from A to B, -3 to -1 is a distance of 2. So I'm going to do 2 squared. -5 to 4 is a distance of 9. So I get the square root of 85 here. B to C, -1 to 2 is 3 away. So that's 3 squared. 4 to 5 is 1 away. So this is the square root of 10. CD, 2 to 1 is 1 away. 5 to -3 is 8 away. Okay, 8 squared is 64. Square root is 65. And then A to D, -3 to 1 is 4 away. -5 to -3 is 2 away. Square root of 20. So that can be lowered to 2 square root of 5. Okay, but these are not combinable. So the perimeter is literally rad 85 plus rad 10 plus rad 65 plus 2 rad 5. Okay, now for the area. So for the area, I'm going to use the shoelace method, A, B, C, D, A. So I'm just going to write down my points, and then I'll multiply diagonally. Okay, so when I multiply diagonally, on the right I get -12, -5, -6, -5. On the left I get 5, 8, 5, 9. Okay, so you have to add these together. So here I get 27. And then over here I get, let's see, 18 and 10, -28. So you have to do 27 minus -28 divided by 2. So that's 55 divided by 2, which is 27.5. Whoops. So that would be your area. All right, keep going backwards. What did we learn prior to area? We learned proofs with isosceles triangles and right triangles, right? So let's prove with coordinates A, -3, 5, B, 1, -1, and C, 7, 3. is a right isosceles triangle. Okay, so to prove that it's isosceles, you have to get the measure of AB, BC, CA, and then to prove that it's right, you're going to have to get the slope of AB, BC, CA. Again, I'm going to do mental math. Okay, you can show the work if you want. So from A to B, -3 is 4 away from 1. 5 is 6 away from -1. 16 plus 36 is 52. B to C, 1 is 6 away from 7. And -1 is 4 away from 3. So the square root of 52. Okay, you could simplify these if you want. This is 2 rad 13, 2 rad 13. I don't care about CA because I already got enough information to prove that they're isosceles. Okay, the slope of AB, so I'm going to do 5 minus -1 over -3 minus 1. So that's 6 over -4, which is -3 halves. Okay, BC, -1 minus 3 over 1 minus 7. So that's -4 over -6, which is 2/3. So I'm actually done. I don't have to get CA. Okay, now writing the sentences are a little bit difficult. So you would say, since AB equals BC, the triangle is isosceles. And then, okay, since the slope of AB and BC are opposite reciprocals, that means that AB is perpendicular to BC, which means that there's a right angle at B, which means that it's a right triangle. Triangle ABC is right. Okay, and since it's isosceles and right, it's an isosceles right triangle. Okay, so the next topic would be distance, but I already reviewed that when I did perimeter, and I reviewed it right here when I did isosceles, which is why I had to teach distance first. This is why I'm going backwards, okay, to be efficient. All right, the next thing was the equation of the perpendicular bisector. Get the equation of the perpendicular bisector of JK, okay, whose coordinates are J, -3, 5, K, -1, 7, okay? So you start off, you get the slope, right? So we have to get the slope of JK, and that's no JK. Okay, so the slope is 5 minus 7 over -3 minus -1, -2 over -2, 1. Perpendicular slope, -1. You're going to use that. Midpoint. Add the x's together, divide by 2. Add the y's together, divide by 2. -2, 6. And then the point slope formula. By now, you guys definitely should have that nailed down. Okay, if you've been doing everything you're supposed to be doing, because we've done it a lot. That is the equation. That's the point slope version. If someone asks you for the slope intercept, just distribute -1 and add 6. Okay, the topic right before this topic, we had partitioning a directed line segment. Okay, so find K on MN such that MK to KN is in a ratio, let's say, 2 to 1. Okay, if M, we'll say, is -5, 7, and N is, we'll say, okay, 1 and then -5. Okay, so the way you do this is you use the formula x1 plus a over a plus b, x2 minus x1. And then you do the same thing for the y part. y1 plus a over a plus b, y2 minus y1. You read the problem, so we're starting at m. So you're going to have -5 plus 2/3. Then on the right, you'll have 7 plus 2/3. And then it's x2, which is 1, minus -5. And then it's -5 minus 7. So then you could just use a calculator if you kids want. Okay. Dinosaur over here. Okay. I'm going to add this. I get 6 divided by 3, so that's 2, so I get 4. -5 plus 4 is -1. -12 divided by 3 is -4 times 2 is -8. So I get -1, -1. So that would be the coordinates of K. And you can graph these things. I'm not going to be putting graph paper right now on here, but you can graph these and check to make sure they make sense. Okay, then what we learned prior to this lesson was, midpoint was part of this lesson. So, but I've gone over the midpoint formula when I got the perpendicular bisector. Be prepared to work backwards too. So let's say they say, if the center of a circle is -3, 2, and the circle passes through for -1. Find the other endpoint of the diameter. Right? So you just have the midpoint formula, x1 plus x2, but x2 is going to be 4 divided by 2 equals -3, because that's the x-coordinate of the midpoint. Center of a circle is a midpoint of a diameter. And then we have y1 plus -1 divided by 2 equals 2. Cross multiply. Bring the 4 over. Cross multiply. And bring the 1 over. And so your answer would be -10, 5. Okay, then prior to this, we learned about equations. We had to get equations perpendicular to lines, right? We had to get an equation through 2 points. Let's do perpendicular. Get the equation perpendicular to 2x minus 3y equals 6. That passes through whatever we want, doesn't matter. -3, 5. So number 1, we have to get the slope before we can get the perpendicular slope. -3y is -2x plus 6. Divide by -3. So 2/3 is my slope. But I need the perpendicular slope. So the perpendicular slope, I have to flip it and change the sign. So now I write the point slope formula. I take the perpendicular slope, I substitute that in. I substitute in y1, which is -3, and I substitute in, y1 is 5, I meant x1 is -3. Okay, so that's what I get. And if you want the slope intercept, just distribute -3 halves and add 5. All right, one last question, and then we're done reviewing for the test. Get the equation of the line passing through negative 2, 3, and let's say 5, negative 11. Okay, so we get the slope first, right? So the slope would be 3 minus negative 11 over negative 2 minus 5. So that's 14 over negative 7, negative 2. And then you can either write the formula as y minus 3 is negative 2 times x plus 2, or you can write the formula as y plus 11 equals negative 2 times x minus 5. All right, guys, that's a wrap. And don't forget Vuxhoy. Go back and review that.